So today I'm just going to kind of guide us through a little bit in terms of like talking about some key concepts around academic trauma, institutional betrayal, maybe contextualizing that a little bit with my own counter story that was published in the first issue. And just kind of like really talk about ways that we can kind of use guided imagery in our own lives. And one of the ways that it's really been helpful to me is to think about what does my life look like in the absence of trauma, of academic trauma. If academic trauma was not present in my environment, sort of what would my ideal um, work environment look like, and what would that be like for me? And it's been really amazing because I feel like it's really helped me manifest so many positive things in my career over the last few months, because this has really been an incredible journey of which I don't have time to share today. But really just thinking through what are some of the things that will help me heal, and what does healing look like for me. And that's different from, I think, each and every person. And then also, what is ideally, would my environment, what would I want that to be like? How would I want people to treat me? What kind of resources do I need to be successful in my environment? And I will say that in itself has really changed a lot of things for me. And just sharing a little bit, is, I'm sure everybody is aware of, some of the anti-DEI legislation that's happened across states. And I've been impacted professionally by that in my own job. So I was kind of thinking about, and it was really anxiety provoking to think about, what does this next step look like in my career? And I just start thinking I really would like time to just rest. And before I had a meeting with my dean, and before I could even like say anything, and I had it like written down on my things to talk about, was to take an administrative sabbatical. He said, "Why don't you take an administrative sabbatical?" And I was like, "Yes, I've been meaning to discuss that with you." And it was just really freeing to kind of have that discussion and then think about, like, what will that time look like for me? And part of it is, yes, to kind of rejuvenate or work on my research agenda, but part of it is about rest. And just thinking about, what are my next steps in my life, both, you know, professionally and in my own personal life. And then also just thinking through um, what kinds of things are my next steps, and what is going to be helpful to me. So I think some of these exercises have just been critical to my own development, and I really refer to it as visioning. So just really quickly, um, I want to kind of touch upon a few key definitions. And as I mentioned, a lot of my work does focus on anti-racism. So anti-racism is really a key part of everything I do. So when I think about the absence of academic trauma, for me as a Black woman, that really involves a process of anti-racism and engaging in anti-racism activism within my own educational environment, to better that environment, not only for myself, but for other folks who are in that environment, whether they're faculty, staff, students. So a lot of my work professionally has focused on, professional development of students, of faculty, of mentorship, those kinds of things. And to me, anti-racism is really a critical piece of that work. And to me, it's hard to understand the absence of academic trauma, particularly as a Black woman, without thinking about how do I introduce anti-racism into that context to address some of these systematic challenges. Um, and one of the things that I talk about in the piece that I wrote was about CRT, or critical race theory, serving as an important framework to really understand some of these concepts, such as institutional betrayal, academic trauma, and to address institutional solutions, because we can't do this work alone when we talk about frameworks of institutional courage. And it really it takes people at all levels to facilitate institutional change. And we're at a very, very difficult time, I think, in the history of higher education. And we have to realize that. And we have to understand that it's in a time where, in often cases, particularly to those who are doing equity, diversity, and inclusion work directly or indirectly, um, that we really have to center our own well-being, and then sometimes take a step back and center ourselves and prioritize our own self-care and well-being. So with that being said, I'm just kind of gonna move forward with, and I'm gonna stop sharing this for a minute, because I just kind of want folks to sort of focus a little bit here and take some deep breaths. And again, if you want to mute your screen, or if however, whatever makes you feel comfortable, but just to really relax in your chair, and to take some deep breaths, to close your eyes, and to really center yourself in the experience. So I'd really like you to go back to a time when you were happiest in your academic environment, and to really feel that experience, and to remember what that was like, and to feel that experience, and to see that experience, and remember the scenery of where you were, maybe the building you were at, the location, the city, what that experience was like, and what made you feel happy, or what made you feel joy in that academic environment. What was your role? Were you a student? Were you a faculty member? Were you a staff, a postdoc? And what did that experience look like for you? What did it feel like? Who were the persons who were present with you in this experience? And what made that experience most meaningful for you? What brought you joy within that experience? And really, what made you want to remain in academia and to make an important contribution, whatever that is?